The third annual USMC Scout Sniper Association Skydive Boogie is coming up on Saturday, July 12th at Jumptown Skydiving in Orange, Massachusetts. All veterans of all branches and all eras are welcome. This is a family-friendly event. Go to mistresscarrie.com, go to the concert calendar, and click the link to make a reservation or just come be a spectator. The Hogs Call After Party is happening at the Red Apple Farm in Phillipston, Massachusetts that afternoon.
Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie. Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 263 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. My guest this week returns for a Pat trick, his third appearance on the Mistress Carrie podcast. Pat Badger is the longtime bassist of the band Extreme, a local legend in New England, but he is also the singer and the rhythm guitarist of the Eagles tribute band, the Dark Desert Eagles. I caught up with Pat right before Father's Day to talk about the passing of Sly Stone and Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. We also talked about Extreme's touring plans this year, traveling, and of course, his gigs this summer around New England with the Dark Desert Eagles. Pat and I bumped into each other at Gillette Stadium at the AC/DC Power Up Tour in line at the concession stand, and he promised me he'd come back on the show. So, allow me to reintroduce you to Pat Badger from Extreme. Mr. Pat Badger, it's good to see you.
What's happening? How you doing, Mistress Carrie?
I'm good. Thank you for coming on the show again.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
You're a three-peater now, which is nice. I might have to come up with like a jacket like Saturday Night Live when people hit 5 appearances.
There was one summer I played at Hampton Beach Casino 3 times in one summer with 3 different bands.
And you sold all 3 of them out, right?
I think so, yeah. Well, I didn't sell. Well, yeah, I guess 2 of them I sold out. One of them wasn't really my band, but I was filling in for my buddy's Journey tribute band called Voyage.
Yeah, those guys are awesome.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, it was a fun summer, but they called it the, instead of hat trick, they called it the Pat trick.
Well, now it's a Pat's trick on the Mistress Carrie show, so thank you.
That's awesome.
I bumped into you in the concession line at a rainy Gillette Stadium at AC/DC, which was random and hilarious.
So what'd you think of the show?
I loved it. The thing that got me the most, look, you got to go in there knowing that Brian Johnson's 77, Angus is 70. If you're expecting AC/DC on the Back in Black tour in 1980, that's just ridiculous.
Right.
But what struck me the most is that they looked like they were having so much fun all these years later. Did you think that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk about living legends. Obviously you said Brian and Angus, they're the only 2 guys that were in the band back in the day. So they've gone through a lot, Malcolm died, Angus loses his brother, still continues on. I mean, it's amazing what those guys have endured over the years. And the incredible thing is that, at the height of Highway to Hell, that, Bon Scott dies and they come back and have the biggest, greatest rock album probably of all times, with Back in Black. But, Yeah, no, I was blown away actually at the show. The set list is beyond, ridiculous. And like you said, you can't expect those guys to be like they were in the 80s. I've seen them, I think, every decade since the 80s because I went, I believe it was 1981. I saw them on the For Those About to Rock tour. And I got to be honest, I got kind of choked up at the end of this show when they did that as an encore with the cannons and stuff. And it brought me back to 1981. And I was just like, had this feeling in my stomach like this was going to be the last time I'd see him.
They're my husband's favorite rock band. He and I don't agree on a lot of things musically. And I've been promising him since we started dating almost 9 years ago that I was going to bring him to AC/DC at some point. And that's how long it's been since they've played in the States. So when they scheduled the Power Up tour, I was like, I don't care what I have to do. And I tried, like you, every favor to get tickets to the show. And they didn't give tickets to anybody. You had to buy them. And you and I were joking about it like, I haven't paid this much money for concert tickets in a while.
I know. And it was face value and it was still expensive. But yeah, no, there's no comp tour. So,
and I just wanted to see it and I wanted him to see it. And there aren't that many bands where there's literally not one song that wasn't a massive hit. Not even just a medium hit, like a massive hit.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, even the songs that are kind of deeper cuts, you still know the song, the Whole Lot of Rosies and all those songs. You just like, you can't even believe how good the set was. Yeah, AC/DC, incredible.
I mean, you talk about the improbability of losing Bon Scott at a height like that and being able to find a singer and then to come out with Back in Black as the album 5 months later. You've been in Extreme for, 40 years now? Can you imagine trying to find somebody to replace Gary? Like, it doesn't even, you can't even wrap your brain around it. And yet the guys from AC/DC figured out a way to do it and do it respectfully.
Yeah. And it is incredible, too, that a lot of the songs they played were from the Bon Scott era. Like when Sammy joined Van Halen, he wasn't doing a lot of the Dave stuff. They would just, kind of focus on the new stuff. But AC/DC, like their catalog is just, second to none as far as a hard rock band,
They still own that catalog, right? There's so many bands that are like selling their catalogs, but I think the Youngs, they still own it, right?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anything about AC/DC selling theirs. So yeah, but can you imagine? I turn around and see all those, they sell those blinking horns, like the devil horns. I'm like, I can't even imagine outside of the concert tickets and outside of, T-shirts, how much money they make in a night selling those little horns.
They were probably
incredible.
So when I got the tickets, I went and bought this like sparkly set of devil horns. And my husband was like, what are those for? And I was like, those are for AC/DC. And he was like, why? And I was like, you'll see it when we get there, right? So I showed up horns in hand. They had to have sold 25 or 30,000 sets of those devil horns. They were everywhere. It was crazy.
Everywhere. Yeah. And the funny thing is, I'm like, where are these people going to wear these other than at this concert tonight?
Halloween for something at some point, maybe.
I guess. Yeah. But no, God bless them.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I got to talk to you about a couple of things that happened really recently. As a bass player, I would assume there was some level of influence for you when it comes to Sly Stone.
Oh, of course. I mean, they were like blueprint of, a lot of funk and a lot of that stuff. And so obviously Extreme had some funk within our, in the style of some of our songs. But yeah, I think anybody who plays anything remotely funky is somehow connected to Sly, So yeah, it was a tremendous loss. And then within the same week to lose Brian Wilson is just like that was pretty heartbreaking too. He was talking about somebody who was influential, a guy who influenced the Beatles, And you go back, I was actually listening to it last night with some friends in honor of him and listening to some Beach Boys and the vocals and the arrangements and the orchestrations and stuff. It just next level genius,
I think a lot of people think of those surfer songs from the Beach Boys and they're great pop songs, But I don't think a lot of people, like you said, really understood the influence in the mid 60s. And I had Colin Blunstone from the Zombies on the show a while back. And he talked about how after they released Pet Sounds, John Lennon could tell that they recorded on 8 tracks. And as the Beatles were recording Sgt. Pepper at Abbey Road, he went into the engineers at Abbey Road and said, I want 8 tracks because the Beach Boys had 8 tracks and they recorded that in California. And they were like, there isn't an 8-track machine in all of England. And he was like, figure it out. And so the engineers at Abbey Road, according to Colin Blunstone, stayed up all night and found a way to make 2 4-tracks into an 8-track, but lost a track in the transition. And that's how Sgt. Pepper was recorded on 7 tracks. And the Zombies went into Abbey Road right after the Beatles recorded Sgt. Pepper. And so Time of the Season and all that stuff was recorded on 7 tracks because John Lennon demanded they get what the Beach Boys had. So like...
Wow. Yeah, no, it's amazing how influential and how that was kind of at the birth of all that multi-tracking and what we know today.
You and I could do that on our iPhones now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Things have changed a lot since the 60s.
I wanted to ask you, obviously, because of the Dark Desert Eagles, have you gone to Vegas to see the Eagles at the Sphere?
I have not. I've heard great things about it. But no, I haven't made a pilgrimage out to Vegas. I haven't been out there in, a couple of years, I guess, since Extreme toured and we played out there. So, but yeah, definitely if I go into town, that's a must see for me.
I went to just to the outside on opening night, the first night U2 played, because like I didn't have a car to sell to get a ticket. And just the technology on the exoskeleton of the Sphere is like
crazy.
Insane. Yeah.
Yeah. I always wondered how would they recoup their money building that thing for billions or whatever it costs. And then I found out how much they charge for content for advertising on the outside of the thing. And I'm like, okay, well, there's my answer right there.
The further you get away from it, the better the resolution. The LED like clusters are the size of a baseball. So the closer you get to it, the more you can kind of see.
Yeah, like pixelated.
Yeah, but the further you get away from it, the more liquid it looks and the clearer the resolution. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I got to see it. Yeah, I haven't been out in Vegas in a while.
You bring up Extreme. I don't know if you know this or not, but I wanted to give some props to my friends that hooked us up. The Small Town Beautiful video, the Army uniform.
Right on.
I got you that.
Oh, really?
I had to call in some favors with some Army buddies because the girl in the video was like a double extra small, like trying to find a real legit. So I brought in some friends of mine from the Army that not only could help me get a uniform, but also to make sure that you guys were going to be respectful to uniform protocol when you made the movie. So anybody that sees that video, you see the girl in the uniform. I spent an entire afternoon scrambling with some Army buddies who shall remain nameless to protect the innocent to get you guys a uniform for that video.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, that was a great, kind of reveal at the end of the video that it ends up being her. Because for the people who haven't seen the video,
spoiler alert. Sorry, I ruined it for you.
Spoiler alert. But hey, listen, it's just a music video. So, but thank you so much for helping out with that because it did add obviously to the to the video in a big way. So
it's so funny because my friends that I called. I'm that friend that calls with the weird last minute like request, right? And I called him up and I was like, "Hey guys, I'm kind of in an emergency and I could use some help." And they were like, "What's up?" And I was like, "The guys from Extreme need an Army uniform for a music video." And they were like, "Of course you're calling with this request, Carrie, because that's you. That's what you do."
Yeah. How about, do you have like something in Ukrainian circa 1973?
I need a replica gun and some of those Rambo bandoliers. Can you guys, I know it's Friday at 4:00, but can you guys help shake that stuff down?
We need it tomorrow morning though. Yeah, we need it tomorrow morning.
So I wanted to thank those guys. I know they're going to be listening to thank those guys for helping to make it happen because they definitely handled a fire alarm for me.
Well, thank them, or I'll thank them as well. So thank you guys for helping us out with that. So
You've been juggling Extreme and Dark Desert Eagles stuff for years now. We're smack dab in the middle of like the busy summer concert season. So
yeah.
how has your summer been so far? Because you're kind of all over the place. I mean, you found time to go to AC/DC, but
So we've actually had a little time off. We've done some scattered stuff, like a couple of shows with Def Leppard. We just got back from Maryland, which was like, I think the biggest festival in the United States is now at this Boardwalk Live thing. So
I saw
it was
that.
down
It's
in Ocean
huge.
City. Yeah, it was like 60,000 people. It was amazing. It was like 3 stages. That I had never been to Ocean City, but it was definitely a cool place down there. It was like Hampton Beach on steroids, like times 10, you know.
A couple of my friends from Leominster were at the show that live down there now. And they took a selfie when you guys were on stage and they put it up on their Facebook page. And they were like, haven't seen these guys live since they played at Leominster High School back in the 80s. This is so awesome. They were so excited that you guys played that festival.
Yeah, that was a fun one. And then July 6th, we're actually playing up in Quebec, opening again with Def Leppard. And that's supposed to be like 120,000 people. So that's the biggest festival in all of North America. So we're looking forward to that. And then I have a few Dark Desert Eagles shows coming up. So those are, let's see, July 18, which is a Friday night at Aura, which is up in Portland.
Yeah, I'm on the air on 106.3 The Bone up there. So you can hear
awesome.
me. Yeah, you can hear me every weekday afternoon on The Bone in Portland.
And then I think, as we talked about before, we got the Casino Ballroom, which will be July 19th. It'll be awesome Saturday night. And then Sunday, we're down in Cohasset at the South Shore Music Circus, like that, tent.
Yeah.
So
a tent on the Cape in the middle of the summer. Perfect.
I know. So it's going to be an awesome 3 in a row. I leave right after that. After, I think, July 23rd, we fly to Europe and with Extreme. So I don't have a lot of Dark Desert Eagle shows this summer because Extremes, obviously we're going to be traveling and can't do both. So first Extreme date is late July in Bulgaria, which we've never been to Bulgaria before.
I was going to ask you, are you guys hitting places you guys have been touring for decades, but are you hitting places you've never been?
We still are, yeah. We just... the second night of the tour is Romania, which I don't think we've ever played in Romania before. I wish we had time to go to Dracula's Castle to go check it out, but we're going to be back on the bus and traveling somewhere else.
So a few years back, my husband's being active duty military got stationed in Romania for like 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And going to Bran Castle was something that was literally on my bucket list. I have a bucket list on my iPhone in the notes. Yeah. And it was on the bucket list. And he was like, I might be able to get like 4 days off on leave if you want to fly all the way to Romania.
Yeah.
And then I'll bring you to Bran Castle. So I'm like, great. So I did what any music lover does, right? I go on Polestar. I search Bucharest, Romania to see if there were going to be any concerts while I was there. And it just so happened Judas Priest was there.
Oh my God.
So I call the record company. I'm like, hey, can you guys get me some tickets for this date? And they were like, Carrie, they're going to be in Romania, not Boston. I was like, no, I'm going to Romania. So the band hooked me up with tickets. So awesome. I call my boyfriend, now husband, and I was like, hey, I got tickets. And he was like, that's the night I have to report back on base. I can't go. And I was like, all right, I got to know somebody that's around. I'll make a friend and go, right? So he goes to his commander and says, my girlfriend is coming to visit. I'm going to take a few days leave. She got tickets because he's a country music guy. AC/DC is like the only thing we have in common. He goes, she got tickets to go and see Judas Priest, but my leave is over. His commander goes, you got tickets to Judas Priest? He gave him an extra day off.
Oh my God.
So we could go see Judas Priest in Bucharest. We called it Special Judas Priest Leave or Liberty. And let me tell you, the rock fans in Romania are on a whole other level. There were grandfathers in leather pants with like metal studded belts with their grandkids in leather studded baby onesies and earmuffs on their back. When people talk about rock and metal in those parts of the world and how passionate the fans are, it cannot be overstated how passionate they are.
You are right, and that is just an absolutely amazing story. So
And
that is a
Bron
great.
Castle, you've got to go. It's
I know.
awesome.
I'm gonna have to go back sometime. Now that's gonna be on my bucket list because
It's
we
really,
don't
really
have the
cool.
time.
It's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
But you're right. The European fans and the crowds, like, we did a lot of festivals last year and playing like, Hellfest and stuff. They're just hardcore. It's like kind of like the difference between, in sports events. If you see how passionate people are about football or soccer over there, compared to how we are passionate. I mean, we're obviously into football, North American or, American football. But they take sports and music and concerts and events, like you said, it's a whole other level of enthusiasm.
I
So
can't take my purse into a concert in the United States. These crazy fuckers are bringing road flares in there and like setting fires and nobody gets hurt. They're just like, yeah, this is what we do.
yeah, yeah. No, it's gonna be a blast this summer. Yeah, we got like, a bunch of European dates, also through like Germany, Italy, going to the UK again. Yeah, a bunch of stuff. So psyched to get back on the road.
I'm taking some time off later this year to celebrate my wedding anniversary, and we're going to Rome. I know you've been
Awesome.
through there a bunch of times. Is there, other than like the Vatican and the Colosseum, obviously, like, is there a Pat Badger travel suggestion for me when I go to Rome?
Well, there's, if you really want to do like the romantic stuff, you got to go see, isn't it, what is it called? The Trevi Fountain or
Oh, yeah.
something?
Yeah. The Trevi
Yeah.
Fountain. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to go see that. I mean, it's just everywhere you look in Rome, there's just some amazing, historic thing that you can't even believe you're standing there looking at this thing. So, I think you could probably spend a month in Rome and not see everything.
Yeah. We're
So,
going for
and
like
of
8
course,
days and we're never leaving Rome. We're just going there.
yeah, and of course, there's a lot of obviously the religious stuff. If you go into the Vatican and the Sistine Chapel and all that stuff, it's just mind-boggling. The artwork in there. Yeah, so I actually went to Rome. Not I went on a family vacation. I didn't. Extremes never played in Rome, I don't think.
Really?
Yeah, usually when we go to Italy, we play like in Milan. Um, it seems that's the city we usually keep going back to. But yeah, Rome's just a absolutely, gorgeous place. You're gonna have a blast.
I can't believe this many years later that there's places you guys still haven't played. That's crazy to me.
So things keep popping up. Like even this morning, I woke up to a text that they said they wanted us back in India, right around Thanksgiving. We've only played India twice. But, it's such a huge country that they're talking about a different city. So there's a different place we've just never been to. It's like almost like an untapped, market for us that we haven't done a lot of shows, but they're talking a huge festival out there. It was like 100,000 people. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna go back.
There's so many bands right now, especially like the new metal bands that are celebrating big 25th anniversaries like Disturbed and Papa Roach and all of these bands. It seems like music, that cycle of music being in and then it's kind of out and then eventually it's all back in again. And these bands talk about this resurgence and finding new fans. Extreme feels like you guys are having this entire second like renaissance of your career. You guys are almost busier now than you were 20 years ago.
After we released the last album, called Six, SIX, it did feel, you said the word that I always use. It is kind of like a renaissance where, we are playing a lot of the new material on tour, but we obviously, play a lot of our catalog and some songs that are, 30 years old. But yeah, I've felt that there's been an excitement and, when the first single Rise came out, there was a huge swell of excitement and a lot of stuff, especially around Nuno's guitar
Yeah,
solo.
people
He's
were
on all the guitar
analyzing the
magazines
video
and
going,
stuff.
is that really him playing? Are his
Yeah.
hands really doing that?
So I think there, like you said, it is a renaissance. I started feeling on tour with the attendance and the way people were into it, and some younger people come in, or parents bringing their kids to shows and stuff. It feels like we have a whole new life again, and so I have the feeling like when not since like those days of porn graffiti and stuff where there's that kind of excitement again. So yeah, it's been a blast. We did last year. I think we did 120 dates in a year. So we were all over the place, and that didn't even include travel days and days off and wherever you're hanging out somewhere. So we were really busy last year. So again, yeah, this year is a little slower, because I think we kind of tapped out a little bit last year, and so we're kind of taking a little easier this year, but we're still having a blast playing
Every
shows out there.
touring musician that I know, when they have those days off on the road, every single one of them has got something different that's like their routine. There are some that have to find a gym or they go for a run. There are some that go like vinyl shopping. Others are all about like finding those great places to eat. So if you're in a strange city and you get a day off, what do you do?
Um, I'd be lying if I didn't call a couple of roadies and maybe Kevin and say, "Where's the local bar?" and go kill a couple of hours having some beers or whatever. And then definitely we try to eat well on the road, or at least obviously the show days is usually catering, or they order something in or whatever. So on days off, we usually do try to find a nice restaurant, and uh, that's kind of a guilty pleasure of ours.
When touring bands come to Boston and they get a day off, I always try to play like the tour guide. I call it the Mistress Carrie Tour of Boston. And it's, because you're from here, it's like when people come in from out of town, they want to do all the same stuff. And for me, it never gets old kind of bringing people into my city to like be excited about seeing all of the things. So like the Freedom Trail and Paul Revere's house and Fenway, like I've seen all that stuff a billion times, but I still
We
love.
take it for granted.
We take it for granted. And so I always try to like find something different to take people to, but I just always kind of, love taking people around our hometown because they're excited to see it for the first time, even though I'm seeing it for the 10,000th.
Yeah, I mean, I've done the same with people where they say, "Hey, I'm coming to Boston. What should I do?" I say, "You know what? Just go to the Museum of Science and get on the duck boat tour." And they drive you around the city and they tell you all about Boston, history, and you'll see some really cool shit. So that's usually what I'll.
I thought that was the biggest tourist trap ever. And then I took my niece on it and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was really
They
cool.
when my son was little, I remember they let him drive the boat too. Once it went out in the Charles, they let him steer for a little while. So yeah, that to me that is a great, like you said, you think of it as kind of a touristy thing, but it's always great to see them riding down the street carrying our sports teams to.
Hasn't happened in a while, but I look forward to the return of the duck boat parade.
Well, it happened for the Celtics last year.
Yeah.
But
well, in Boston, that's a while.
That's how spoiled we are.
I know.
Hasn't happened. Wow, just last year.
They announced that the Tom Brady statue is getting unveiled next month, so that's going to be interesting at Gillette.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
So this weekend is Father's Day, so happy early Father's Day.
Oh, thank you.
What's a good thing that dads want? Obviously, I'm not a dad, so like, what do you want for Father's Day?
This kind of circles back a little bit because time becomes a commodity, and my son's been off at UMass, and so I hadn't seen him a whole lot in the last 4 years. So I'm like, I just want to hang out and like go out for sushi or something with you. He's like, well, what do you want for Father's Day? Okay, if you really want to buy me something, I don't have Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys on vinyl. So those are my two picks. I said we'll go for sushi, and if you have to buy me something, get me some Beach Boys.
Nice. That sounds like the perfect Father's Day.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, this is Father's Day is your day, so happy Father's Day. I hope you get the vinyl, and I hope it's pristine.
Thank you so much.
And there's a lot going on this summer with Extreme, a lot going on with the Dark Desert Eagles. I'm going to put all the links to all the shows in the show notes of this episode so that people can get last minute tickets if they want to come and see you guys. And for anybody that hasn't seen the Dark Desert Eagles yet, if you're an Eagles fan, you guys are awesome.
Oh, I really appreciate that. It's just music we grew up listening to. It's just, people always wonder, what, you're in a nationally touring band. Why are you doing like a tribute band or, cover band? And, it's just kind of going back to the egg of like getting in the basement with your buddies and playing songs that that you love. Then we've kind of turned it into more of like it is a celebration of the Eagles, and their catalog of music. Talk about a set that, like, we open with a hit and close with a hit, and every song in between, is a massive hit. And so it's really like an honor and a pleasure to play that music. Obviously we've seen all these bands getting older and either retiring or someone dies, when Glenn Frey died, it was a real bummer for me. If you go see the Eagles at the Sphere, it's not quite the same, And so we just enjoy celebrating that music, and hopefully we'll get to do it for a lot more years. But I'm looking forward to this summer, especially that Hampton Beach show, Cape Cod. It'll be a blast.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that it just exercises a different musical muscle for you. And I would think that it kind of keeps you in love with playing music because you're just doing something different other than being an Extreme, which is awesome. But like getting to like do something different keeps it a little fresh.
Oh yeah, the word is definitely fresh because and also, working a different musical muscle because I sing lead vocals and play rhythm guitar in the Dark Desert Eagles. Like a lot of people assume I'm the bass player, but I don't even touch the bass the whole night. So, in an Extreme, people say, "Oh, do you get nervous getting out in front of 100,000 people?" And I'm like, well, to be honest with you, I get more nervous doing a Dark Desert Eagles show in front of 500 people because I'm kind of carrying the load as far as the singer, the front man. It's a whole different, thing. And it took me a while to get used to people sitting down. Like Extreme always has general admission, like people standing and rocking out. Where like, I get out and you're playing songs like Peaceful Easy Feeling or Lion Eyes, and people are just staring at you like they're watching a movie, like sitting down. Like, can I get you your popcorn? So it's a lot of a huge different vibe playing in those two bands. So it does keep it fresh for sure.
Well, if people haven't seen you yet, they got to come and see you. I've seen you guys multiple times, and it's always so much fun. So,
oh, thanks. Yeah, we try to keep some humor going too, and we joke a lot about, we had to kind of incorporate some of the Eagles' insanity into the show. Kind of highlight some of their drugs and alcohol and womanizing and all that stuff. It's all part of the show.
I was going to say it's all part of the story of the band, so it's got to kind of be part of the show.
I took a lot out of the documentary just to keeps people engaged and smiling the whole show.
Well, it was so good to see you. Happy early Father's Day.
Thank you again, Carrie.
Thanks for coming back on the show.
Thanks again for helping out with the army outfit.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. And have a fantastic time in Rome.
Oh, I know. I can't wait. I
can't wait to hear about it.
I'm going to eat everything. I might starve myself for a week before I go just so there's extra room.
Just go for it. Happy anniversary. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
There he is, Pat Badger from Extreme. If you're looking to see the Dark Desert Eagles this summer, just check the links in the show notes of this episode. I've got the Dark Desert Eagles links, Pat's links, and of course the Extreme links there. You'll also find Mistress Carrie links, the links to his previous appearances on the Mistress Carrie podcast, and the link to this episode's corresponding playlist. I make a playlist for every full-length episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast that features all of my guest music and all the artists and songs that we referenced in the interview. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and comment on the Mistress Carrie podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday. Plus, every weekday, you get the Sit Rep. The Situation Report gives you all your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment updates in about 5 minutes. And you never know when we're going to release a bonus episode. Join me live every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern on my official Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube channel for my weekly streaming video show, Cocktails in the War Room. And you can always find me on the radio. Get the details on all of that and more at MistressCarrie.com. The Mistress Carrie Podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.